polynomial vocab. Before we talk about the definition of a polynomial, we need this other word, term. So a term is a number. So an example of a term would be like the number 4, that's a term. A variable. So for example, x, that variable is a term. Or a product of numbers and variables. So like 2 times x, 2x would be a term. 2 times x times y, 2xy would be a term. 2 times x times y, which would be y squared, those would all be terms. So a term is a number, a variable, or a product of numbers and variables. That helps us with our definition of a polynomial, because a polynomial is one term, such as 4 or x or 2xy squared. Each of these on their own are a polynomial, or the sum of terms. So each of these is a polynomial by itself. If I add them together, that sum is also a polynomial. So 4 plus x plus 2xy squared, that is a polynomial. This statement here, whole number whose variables have whole number exponents, is extremely important. We cannot have a negative exponent and we cannot have a fractional exponent. So exponents of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exponent of 0 is okay. That just gives us x to the 0, for example, would be 1, so just a number. So term or sum of terms. It is an important skill to be able to identify the terms in a polynomial, and in particular, how many terms there are. So let's practice that here. So first example, 3x squared, that's a term. We have a product of a number and variables, minus 4. This minus 4 or negative 4 is also a term. That means this polynomial has 2 terms. One way to identify that pretty easily is to draw a vertical line before any addition or subtraction symbol, because those two symbols separate the terms. So there's one subtraction symbol, draw that vertical line, and that shows me there are 2 terms, 3x squared and negative 4. In this one, we have one term, x squared y, 2 terms, xy, and then that third term, minus x, negative x. So there are 3 terms in this polynomial. In this last example, we have 2 terms. We are going to use that counting of terms to name polynomials by number of terms. This is some vocabulary that you will need to master. This is some vocabulary that you will use every year of your higher mathematical education. So there's a couple of words that we need to learn. The first one is monomial. A monomial is a polynomial with one term. So we can think of this prefix like monorail, monocle. That's all I've got right now. And that prefix means 1. So a polynomial with only one term is called a monomial. If we have 2 terms, bi, like bicycle, that is called a binomial. So we have 1, 2 terms here. This is an example of a binomial. So we have monomial, 1 term, binomial, 2 terms. If we have 3 terms, like we do here, 5xy plus 2x plus 17, that's an example of a trinomial. Trinomial like tricycle or triceratops. So monomial 1, binomial 2, trinomial 3. If a polynomial has more than 3 terms, so more than 3 terms, we don't have a special name for it, and we just say it's a polynomial. So polynomial is our general term. Each of these is also a polynomial, but if we have more than 3 terms, there's no special name. Special name for 1 term, monomial. Special name for 2 terms, binomial. Special name for 3 terms, trinomial. And then if there's 4 terms like here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This doesn't have a special name. We just say, hey, this is a polynomial. So let's practice naming by number of terms below. You can pause this and try to name them by yourself, and then I'm going to go ahead and go through those answers. This first polynomial has two terms. When there are two terms, we call that a binomial. This one, it only has one term. That's called a monomial. Two, binomial. One, monomial. Let's do this one first. We have 1, 2, 3 terms, 1, 2, 3, and we are calling that a trinomial. So 1 monomial, 2 binomial, 3 trinomial. This one has not just 4, but 5 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if it has more than 3, we don't have a special word for it, so we just call this the general word. This is just a polynomial. Again, polynomial is a general word. This is a polynomial, this is a polynomial, this is a polynomial. Every binomial is a polynomial, every monomial is a polynomial, every trinomial is a polynomial. That's our bigger concept, but we have special words for 1, 2, and 3 term polynomials. More than 3 terms, no special word, and we just call it a polynomial. This is some vocabulary that you're going to need to practice in order to master it, but these prefixes really, really help. Mono, 1, bi, 2, 3, tri.